everyone, this is my July wrap up. I can't believe July is over already. We're already into August and this is crazy to me. I had a really good reading month in July. I read mostly good books and I read quite a few more than I did in June, so that's really cool. As always, first of all, I'm going to start off with the statistics because I always like hearing about those. If you're not interested in the statistics, I'll put a timestamp below and you can jump to the books and my thoughts on them. In July, I read 3,072 pages, which I think is really good. I listened to 653 minutes, which is actually the least amount of minutes that I've listened to since I started listening to audiobooks in the car on the way to work. I rated 0 books 1 star, 3 books 2 stars, 3 books 3 stars, 2 books 4 stars, and 1 book 5 stars, so I had a really good reading month, I think. I read 4 ebooks, 4 paperbacks, and 1 audiobook. 5 of the books were backlist titles and 4 were new releases. 4 books were YA and 5 were adult. And when it comes to the genre splits, I read 2 thrillers, 4 contemporaries, 1 non-fiction and 1 fantasy book. Because it's summer, I always tend to read more contemporary books, and that's definitely true this month. I thought this time I would talk about the books in the order that I read them. I quite enjoyed doing it from least favourite to favourite last time, but I've got a book that I want to speak about at the end, so I'll get to that then. The first book I read in July was All of This Is True, and I didn't enjoy it. I gave this one 2 stars, maybe 2.5. It's being marketed as a YA thriller, but that's not what this is at all. It's more of a contemporary mystery kind of thing, and I really don't think it's a very good book. It's told in interviews and diary entries. Also, there's a book within a book. It's about some girls who tell their story about how an author became friends with them and then used them to write her new book. I thought it had a lot of potential, and I know that it was getting a lot of hype, but I really don't know why, because it's really not that good of a book. I was thinking that maybe I could start getting fancy and putting books up here, but I need to clear out some space for that, so maybe next month. I then read The Exact Opposite of Okay by Laura Stephen, and this was fantastic. I loved this one so much. This is a YA contemporary about a girl who is slut-shamed and bullied because there's a photo leaked which shows her and the son of a politician. And obviously, because she's the girl in this situation, she's the one that's to blame. She's the slut and the whore. I thought this was an incredible book. It's very, very well written. I would say it's on the younger side of YA. That's only because it's not dark. It's humorous and intelligent, and I really, really enjoyed this. So I gave this 4 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 is because it's a bit short, and there's going to be a sequel as well, and I thought this worked really well as a standalone, but I will be reading the sequel because this was very, very good. I then buddy read Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo with my friend Lacey. This one was good. I would say it's on par with Six of Crows, but to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Six of Crows, so please don't hate me and unsubscribe. I tried, I really did, but I really don't think I connected with the characters all that much. I enjoyed this one and I gave it 3 stars, but there wasn't enough at stake. I think my issue was that you always knew that Kaz was going to have some plan up his sleeve and he was going to get everyone out of whatever situations they were in. So I didn't really feel like any of the characters were actually in danger, and that's what I need in my fantasy. I need higher stakes, basically. I did really enjoy the cameo in this. I'm not going to say who shows up, but there is a cameo and I loved it. I squealed because it was fantastic. I then read Women in Power by Mary Beard, which is a non-fiction. It's basically a manifesto about feminism. It's 2 speeches that Mary Beard has delivered, and she did so a couple of years ago, and I was expecting a bit more from it. I would have liked maybe more of an introduction or kind of a summary of what she was talking about, but instead it was just the lectures or speeches written down. So that was a bit disappointing, but I gave it 3 stars anyway because Mary Beard has some very good points. I then read Barbed Wire Heart by Tess Sharp. I spoke about this in my recent reading vlog. This is an adult thriller. It's being marketed as a thriller, but I don't really agree. I think it's more of a contemporary, a very dark and gory contemporary, but contemporary nonetheless. Tess Sharp has listed a bunch of trigger warnings because there's a lot happening in this book and it's very dark and grim. Basically, it's set in the mountains or the south or something in the USA, and the main character's father is a drug lord, and he's kind of like the big bad in this town and everyone's scared of him, and she's kind of taken on his reputation and she's trying to live up to that. One day, one of the women that she's looking after is attacked by the rival gang, I guess, and she has to get revenge. It's a very, very well written book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I don't think it's a thriller though. I really don't think it falls into that category, and I was a bit disappointed to find out that's what it wasn't. Next up was The Widow, which is an actual adult thriller. This one is about a woman whose husband is accused of abduction and murder. Right at the beginning of the book he dies, but prior to his death this is what he's been accused of, and the widow, the wife, has to deal with that, and you get flashbacks and it kind of leads you up to the case. So you get the present day timeline showing you how the wife is coping with all of this stuff that's come out about her husband, and then you also get flashbacks to the detective and the journalist who were investigating this case, and it's kind of like muddling through what actually happened, and eventually you find out. I thought this was a really good book. I gave it 3 stars because I didn't think it was amazing and I was expecting a bigger twist at the end. Unfortunately, it all played out pretty much as I expected it to, which is why I've only given it 3 stars. But nonetheless, it was very captivating and I read it in like 6 hours, basically in one sitting. So I'd recommend this one. And I'm going to check out the author's second book, which is called The Child, which is following the same journalist from this one. I then read a very highly anticipated book that came out this year, and that was The Astonishing Colour of After, which is a YA contemporary. I really didn't enjoy this one. This one's a debut and everyone has been talking about it and raving about it and everyone has been excited for it, but I really didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. The extra star, I guess, was because it wasn't a book that I hated or had any problems with. I just didn't enjoy it. I think the writing for me was too like colourful and, sorry, I'm just laughing about my own pun. It was too like whimsical, and I don't really enjoy magical realism or surrealism, I guess, and this is a bit much for me. The main character's mother commits suicide and the main character then goes to Taiwan to meet her mother's family. The main character believes that her mother has been kind of reincarnated as a bird, and the bird is visiting her and kind of guiding her. That was something that I didn't really connect with, I guess. I just thought it was a bit silly, which I hate to say, but I don't know. And then also the main character kept describing her feelings in terms of colour, like red would be anger and love and lust, and then orange would be something else, and blue would be sadness. And I just, yeah, this kind of writing really isn't for me, so I didn't enjoy this one, unfortunately. And then on audio, I reread The Martian by Andy Weir, which I read in 2015, I think. I gave it 5 stars then and I gave it 5 stars now. I loved it so much, and the audio narration was very, very good. I've been listening to it at the gym on like double speed to get me going, and it's fantastic. Mark Watney is forever one of my favourite characters. And finally, I'm currently reading Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is another adult thriller and I haven't quite finished it yet, but I needed to record this video while I had time. I think I'm going to end up giving this one 2 or 3 stars, so I'm not loving it. To be honest, I think it's poorly written. I've spoken in my reading blog that will be going up soon about how just badly it's written. Some of the quotes and sentences that he uses were kind of borderline offensive, and they're things that I don't agree with, so yeah, I'm not really enjoying this book, but I'm hoping that the ending is going to be good, but I think I might have been spoiled by Twitter, so there might be no hope for this book at all. But I just thought I would mention it here, and I've included it in my stats and everything because I'm going to be finishing it today. So those are all the books that I read in July. As you can see, I had a pretty good reading month. I'm really pleased with myself, and hopefully August will be just as good. If you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments below what you thought of them. I'd love to have a discussion about them, and I'll be back soon with a TBR video.